Hello and welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks. My name is Ryan, along with my brothers James and Christian, who are joined beside me. This is Sarcastic Remarks. Welcome to episode 55. I cannot believe we have gone 4 seasons and we are 55 episodes deep. How are you guys doing tonight? Doing okay?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you explained the way our number system works with that little subtle statement there. Good little quip. I like it.
Yeah. It's working.
I feel a little out of place being all the way over on the other side of the screen than normal, though. Don't know how I feel about this.
I know it's a little weird, isn't it? I know it seems silly, but I just thought it was kind of funny. So, but just to throw people off, give them a little bit of a boost there. But we have got a lot of stuff to talk to you guys about tonight. We've got Otter Talk. We've got Pavelski Talk. We've got All-Star Talk. And a couple of other things that we'll do whatever we want for Who Cares, which we thought about, a lot ahead of time before, We've thought about that a long time ago, and we have great picks for you guys to let y'all know. So,
absolutely.
If you can't tell, I'm being very sarcastic. Anyways, what do we want to start off with tonight, gentlemen? I believe it was Mr. Connor Bedard. We kind of just have to mention this because how ridiculous he is of a player. But they recently just held the under-20s World Junior Championships up in Canada. Of course, Canada came out with the gold medal there. But we've been hearing about this guy for years now. At least I have for a very long time. I don't know about you guys, but we've heard comparisons to Connor McDavid, to Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, like a franchise changer. And this is what he did in 7 games of a tournament at the World Juniors. 9 goals, 14 points, 14 assists for 23 points. He basically had almost 4 points a game. Absolutely ridiculous. Y'all tell me what you think about Connor Bedard or what you've heard about him, because I know we might be in different boats. I might have heard about him a little bit more. Chris might have heard a little bit less. James, I don't know. Whatever. What have y'all heard about the Connor Bedard?
Yeah, I'm not in the pre-drafted prospect boat at all, and I've heard so much about Connor Bedard. I mean, a ridiculous amount, more than any other prospect, I think, since I have paid as much attention to hockey as I do now. So, I mean, this guy seems like the real deal. Everyone still thought he was consensus number 1 overall pick. And then he comes to the biggest stage a prospect can come to before the draft and blows it up. I mean, he won the gold medal himself, it felt like. That was insane.
Yeah, it's not even a question of how good he is. He really is. He's that insane. The only thing that I've seen that I'm like, okay, that might be stretching it a little bit, is they took his junior point totals right now and said in an 82-game season, he has 160 points. And I was like, that's not translating to NHL.
That's not how that works.
Regardless, he is a crazy player.
Hey, I'm just saying it's not impossible, because I mean, at points we've seen players like Connor McDavid be on like 160 point pace. I mean, is it completely impossible to see somebody in the future do it, given the way the offense is going in the NHL? I think it's possible.
Somebody in the future, sure, it's possible. Connor McDavid, his first year in the NHL, no.
Yes,
let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think Connor Bedard can do it in the NHL when he gets here?
Oh yeah,
obviously not his first. But
he's going to be an elite scorer. I'd guess as soon as he gets here. I mean, we haven't seen a guy. I know they say this every draft year. We haven't seen a guy this good in probably 5 years, probably since Connor McDavid was drafted. This guy is crazy.
What feels so different about Connor Bedard, though, is just it's the way he plays. I mean, they had the TSN did their little mini short replay stuff. I forgot the name of it. But whatever, you go and you watch highlights of him, and the dude moves like a monster, man. Everything he does, no one else is doing on his level. And even people at the World Juniors, I mean, half those kids are drafted already. I mean, these are good prospects. Everyone expects them to be really good. I mean, Stankoven was there, and he outperformed Stankoven by leaps and bounds. I mean, he has like he's a full year younger. He's gonna be ridiculous.
Yeah, he definitely he had the play style of Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon more so than our own Jason Robertson. So
Yeah.
he's a game changer.
And honestly, chat over here on the right-hand side was getting way ahead of me. It's like they were reading part of my notes over here. I've got extra notes, but we have to mention this. Obviously, Logan Stankoven was there, 2-time gold medalist at the World Junior Championships. Congratulations to him. Let's just hope that he can win the Memorial Cup for his Kamloops Blazers up in Canada. That's the Super Bowl of major junior hockey up there in Canada. But I think it's noteworthy as well that one of the things I heard about was that Connor Bedard actually looked up to Logan Stankoven. I don't know if y'all heard about that, but
Yep.
playing on the same line at the World Juniors, and they both played really well.
Yeah.
But Bedard mentioned Stankoven in the same sentence as himself, so he obviously thought very highly of Mr. Short Little Logan Stankoven, who's going to take the league by storm next year. I am so excited to see this guy.
And you could see it when they were playing together on that team. I mean, those two had some real chemistry playing in that tournament.
Yeah, and they have a huge difference of play style too. So the points that Bedard put up in large part is because what James talked about, his skill is just way above everyone else in that tournament. When he gets to NHL, he's going to find some people who can match him and who can play some defense on him. Stankoven has a totally different skill set. I mean, he is not doing the crazy dangles between three different players. He is just in the right spot, making the right passes, a great shot. He's more of the Jason Robertson style. So he's not the flashiest. I can't think of a synonym. He's not the flashiest glass in the case, but he might hold the most. That was a good one.
Brightest bulb on the tree. Brightest bulb.
No, I like mine best. Mine
I
translated
like this
very
too.
well.
It was very good, Chris.
Thank you.
You're going to be our razor for the podcast tonight. You're going to have to come up with all of your Chrisisms. How about that?
I thought
Anyways,
I already was that, but okay.
All right. Well, I do want to get into this last question about Connor Bedard before we move on, because everybody is talking about it and it's really obvious. But I want to get your answer, what you think is going to happen. It's a two-part question. The first part question is, who is going to be the worst team in the NHL and have the best chance of getting Connor Bedard with the draft lottery? And then who will actually win the draft lottery? Is it the same team that loses that has the worst record, or is it a different team? Who do you think it's going to be?
So you want us to predict the future?
Yes. I want you to be Nostradamus. Yes.
Okay, so the worst team in the league is Anaheim. They suck. I think they aren't getting better. I think Chicago is going to end up playing better than Anaheim. They are bad.
I think I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I think Chicago is definitely going to be the worst by the end of the season. They built the team to be the worst, and they're trading away their two best pieces on the team at trade deadline, without a doubt.
True. The Ducks just feel worse.
They do feel worse.
So I'm going to go maximum chaos here, and I think it will make everybody mad. Okay. So who do I think is going to be the worst team at the end of the year? I think it will be Chicago. I don't think they're going to get it, though. What I hope is going to happen, maximum chaos, is that Columbus gets it. And next year we see a line of Connor Bedard and Johnny Gaudreau. And I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I don't think Columbus is as bad as their record states, because they've had a lot of injuries and they've had a lot of players that have just had really down years. I mean, look at Elvis Merzlikins just for one. So for maximum chaos, I think it would be hilarious if Chicago is the worst team in the NHL. Of course, the original 6 team has to get the franchise player, right? Just like Patrick Kane was for them when he was drafted. But
okay. I'm going to assume Ryan's gone. So I'm going to say, of course, Ryan's right. The worst team in the league statistically is not going to get the first overall pick. That's how the stats work. I think they have like a 20% chance of getting the first overall pick if you're worse in the league. Something like that. It's not as high as you think it is.
Yes, but it's almost guaranteed for that they will get it because there's such a small chance for every
What?
other team to get it.
No, that
And
is not how stats work. They have less than a 33% chance of getting the first overall pick.
they still have the highest chance. And here's
They
the
have the
other thing.
highest chance, but
They
there's a much
change
higher chance that any other team will get it. That is how percentages work.
when New York,
He's
when
right.
we started this podcast, when New York won the draft lottery, they were like, I think 12th or 13th or 14th in the draft lottery. And they got Alex Lafreniere, who was the number 1 overall pick, who didn't have as high of praise being talked about him like Connor Bedard it has, but he still had very similar tastes. And they went all the way up to number 1. And I think they changed it to where you can only, if you win the draft lottery, you can only go move up a maximum of 10 spots, I think, if that's correct.
I don't know, but either way, they still only have, I don't know exactly what the percentage is, but I think it's around a 20% chance of getting the first overall pick.
Yeah,
so they
like
are most likely to get it, but they are still not super likely to get it. So the stats say they're not going to get the first overall pick. So that's what I would bet on. Math.
You know what would be even funnier? Arizona,
that would instantly make them really good, I think. Like their team
already.
No.
That would be maximum chaos because
not maximum chaos, but it'd still be fun.
But if he really is as good as we are thinking when he gets into the NHL, he's gonna make the Coyotes kind of be in a bubble position where they could make a wild card spot.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you're talking about having playoffs in the college stadium. That would be amazing.
and the way Arizona plays is really good. I mean, and they've got some young players on their team and some good depth guys that they're building up. I think if they get some big player like that, that could be huge for them. And they have 1 billion picks in this draft too, so who knows?
Can you imagine them getting Connor Bedard and like they open up this brand new amazing arena that they spend like over $1 billion developing, and he's just coming into his prime, and they have all these other like they have everybody's second round pick for some reason, and they have all these players. Goodness gracious, that would be a little bit of maximum chaos.
That would be crazy.
So anyways, we'll see where Connor Bedard goes and see how he does for the rest of the season. He literally came back from the World Juniors, and in his first game back with his Pats team, he scored 4 points. So the guy's just not going to slow down. Anyways, I thought this was noteworthy. We're halfway through the season, and I've got a long list here of teams that we could talk about. I don't want to talk about all of them because there's a lot, but let's talk about the most surprising teams this year, either positive or negative, however you want to look at it, and just kind of talk about them and, why they are surprising. We'll go with the easiest one, in my opinion. We'll go with Boston. I was 100. I'll eat dirt on this. I was 100% wrong about this team. I thought with all the injuries they were going to start off with at the beginning of the year, no Bergeron, no Marchand, no McAvoy, Krejci comes back, but we have no idea if he's going to be any good. They've got all these players, in their mid 30s or above. I thought they were not even going to make the playoffs, and boy, was I wrong. They've lost 4 games at this point in the season, and that's it.
4
regulation.
Or regulations. Yeah. Oh yeah, excuse me. They've lost. They've been extra special losers in the overtimes. Excuse me. But what about this team? It doesn't make sense to me. Is it just the chemistry they have because they've played so long together? I mean, help me make some sense of this. What do y'all think?
I think it's dumb luck that everyone is playing really good at the exact same time.
Yeah.
I don't know. This team on paper should not be as good as it is. I mean, there's no reason for them to be one of the best teams ever, and yet here they are still. I don't get it.
Yeah, they make no sense to me either. Honestly, Ryan, I have no explanation for what they're doing right now.
I just think they had so many questions, so many like, well, if this happens, it could be really good. And then like all of those questions have been really good. Just like we asked, like, oh, well, is Otter going to be able to handle a full season as the number 1 goalie? And, there was like, the Stars had like 3 or 4 questions like that. The Boston Bruins had like 10 questions or 12 questions like that, and every single one has been good, including Ardell down here mentioning Jim Montgomery. But Jim Montgomery, that was a question they had coming in, was how good was Jim Montgomery going to be in his first season back as a head coach of an NHL team after getting fired by Dallas? So, I mean, I just thought that was crazy.
And by the
They're gonna
way,
keep being good.
yeah, if we're talking best season in NHL history, the best one was in 1976-77 season, the Montreal Canadiens. They ended with 132 points, 68-12.
Oh my gosh.
So,
And that was back in
There-
ties.
And Bruins
That
can
was
still do
back-
that.
Yeah,
We're halfway through the season and they have 4 losses.
yeah. Right now they're on pace to beat it.
Yeah. To be the best season ever, period.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Well, there is the President's Trophy curse. You know, you've heard about that, right?
Yep.
No, whatever. Stupid.
Hey, whoever wins the President's Trophy doesn't win the Stanley Cup. That's normally what happens. Anyways, hey Chris, why don't you pick a team to talk about? There's a whole list for you to choose from.
Sure, I'll take one. I'm going to take Colorado, honestly. I mean, we saw about they started the season kind of slow. Okay, that's expected. You got your cup haze over you a little bit. Kind of makes sense. Then they started getting going. I was like, all right, here's Colorado Avalanche. They're charging back. And recently they have really struggled. I mean, they look like they did in the beginning of the season again. I mean, they're kind of just winning every other game, winning some big games, losing some easy games. I mean, it doesn't look like the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, they're really they're missing Kadri, I think, is a big thing. Their second line is not the same that it was. Nichushkin isn't playing as well. Really, none of them are playing as well, and they're getting the goaltending that me and James expected, that they just outscored in the playoffs.
I would honestly argue that they're getting better goaltending than they have the past couple of years. I mean,
Honestly.
Georgiev has been really good for them, and I mean, we knew he was good in New York, but he was behind the best goalie of the league at that point last year. And, you know, coming into his own starting job, he's been good. He's been very good. I think Colorado's main thing is they've just had so many freaking injuries, and it's ridiculous because I think at one point, the only one out of the main 3 out of that top line, you know, Rantanen, McKinnon, and Landeskog, Rantanen was the only one that was healthy. And I mean, that's the equivalent of like, okay, Pavelski goes down. Okay, Roope goes down. Now we just have Robertson, and that's it from your top line.
It's even worse than that, really. It's more like having only Pavelski left.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
And that's a big deal. But so we've talked a lot about the Stars, how they've been really good about finding different ways to win. Colorado has not. There's one way they win. They win by scoring 5 goals every game, pretty much, and they can't do that now. So, and that's due to the injuries, but we have some really good teams that have a lot of injuries. Boston is one. Vegas is one. Vegas is a surprise that we're probably not going to talk about, but were destroyed to start the season, and they're doing just fine. So good teams find a way to win. I'm expecting them to still be in the playoffs, but it's getting hairy now.
Yeah, they definitely have put themselves in a very tough position to crawl back into the playoff picture. I still think they're going to do it, but it's going to take some work now.
Yep.
The only scary thing is, let's just say the Stars are first. You know, Colorado is going to get that wild card, right?
That would be the worst draw
going to come
ever.
back at the last second, and they're going to be $9 million over the cap or whatever the whole Tampa Bay Lightning thing was. Because like right now, Landeskog is on long-term injured reserve, so it's not counting towards the cap, and he's just going to happen to magically get back right at the start of the playoffs. That would suck. So, but I do agree with you, Chris, that they have been surprising, and at the same time, you know, there's still players there that know how to play and win games. I mean, arguably the best player in the NHL, Cale Makar, is right there, and while he's done his thing, you know, I mean, I guess you could ask him to do more. I just don't know what else.
Yeah. And the
What
bigger
else you could
surprising
ask
thing
him.
is that they started getting going and then they slowed down again. That was super
Mhm.
shocking to me. I thought they were just going to ride that wave.
They also don't have Josh Manson, who signed a big extension with them, or Bowen Byram right now. So that's two of their top 4 defensemen gone out. And they've been out for a while now, too. And at points this year, like Sam Girard was out, and Devon Taves has been out as well. So it's just been like a cycling door for Colorado with their defensemen. But
Yep.
all right, James, why don't you pick one?
I'm gonna pick the Kraken because by now, me and Chris both, we thought that they would kind of have fallen off a little bit more than they have so far, and really they keep scoring anyway. I don't understand where the scoring on this team comes from, but they keep scoring. They keep having like 8-goal nights. It doesn't make any sense to me, but they sit second in their division right now.
I see.
And somehow
they're third.
And points percentage, sorry.
Points percentage, yes.
Do you think they'll make the playoffs, or do you think they're gonna falter out?
I think they'll probably make the playoffs. They
I'm
might be in a
convinced
wild
now.
card spot by the end of the year because one of Calgary or Edmonton might take it from them, or the Kings might. I don't know. The Kings might even drop all the way down to that wild card spot, and then they have the 3rd spot. I don't know, but they just keep scoring 8 goals a night. I don't understand. They keep having these nights where they're just like, nah, we're gonna win. We're gonna score as many goals as possible, and it works. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. They have more goals than the Stars do this year.
Yeah, and they for sure have and it's all led by whatever their rookie, I forget his name, but they have literally the best rookie in the league, and he is leading the team by himself. It's crazy.
Matty Beniers.
Yeah, I call him not Shane Wright.
Yeah,
That's
probably
a good one,
what
Chris.
they call him.
There's another criticism. That's 2 for the evening. Good job. I do want to talk about what do we want to do one more round, or how do we want to do
Sure,
this?
do one more, Ryan.
Okay,
Go
all
for
right,
it.
let's do it quicker though, so that we don't spend forever. I'll pick a negative one since I did a positive one. I want to talk about Florida for a second. The Florida Panthers have completely fallen off the face of the earth, and it's ridiculous how mediocre this team looks when they were the absolute best team in the NHL last season. They won the President's Trophy, won the first round series that they haven't won a round series since 1993. It's the first time they did it, and now they look like they're going to fall off the face of the earth and not even make the playoffs. And here's the other thing that's really bad. They traded a first round pick to Montreal for Ben Sherratt. And if they don't make the playoffs, that pick has a possibility of getting way up there. I'm not saying Connor Bedard or something like that, but an excellent pick for Montreal. And Montreal would have 2 excellent picks in the top 10 possibly. And that's not at all what Florida was thinking when they traded away that first round pick last season. They're like, oh, we're a good team. We're going to be in contention for a couple of years. This will be basically a second round pick because it'll be at the end of the first round, right? That's not the case. And if they don't make the playoffs this season, there's going to be a lot of heads that are going to roll. And mostly I think it's going to be the head coach.
Yeah, the problem I have with the problem I have with writing them off so early is that they're still in the thick of it. I mean, they still got a shot to jump right back in. I mean, they're 6 points out right now of the second wild card spot. They're not that far back. If they figure it out and get it going, they're in.
But the thing is, they haven't figured it out. Their goaltending has been sucky. Matthew Tkachuk has been doing well, but you can tell this team misses Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar. I mean, that guy was an absolute Panther through and through. And I understand why they did it and why both teams did it, and it made sense. But this team is different. This team is 100% different. Yeah. And this is not the West. The West, you can do that and be 6 points. In the East, no, absolutely not. 6 points is a lot.
But they're doing this bad, and they're still there. They're in the hunt. I mean, you can't say they're out of the hunt already. They are totally have a legitimate chance at getting into the playoffs still. And if they get a good streak going, which they haven't, they've literally been doing what you said. They've been mediocre all year. They haven't had a big losing streak, haven't had a big winning streak. They get going one time, that you can jump right back into it. I really don't think it's that hard, especially for a team like Florida who has such a potent offense still. I still think it's in there. They just got to find it.
I think the biggest thing with this team is the goaltending. I mean, we talked about last year how Bobrovsky was having like a career year, and that's why it looked like they were just going to try to go for it. That's why they traded the first round pick away. They traded everything because they knew that Bobrovsky was not going to have another year like this, and it just seems like the fallback has been so drastic that they look so much worse, in my opinion. So I really do think a lot of it comes down to goaltending, like you said, Ryan.
All right, Chris, what do you think? Another team.
Oh, one more team? Okay.
Yep, one more team each. We're going a little quicker on these.
Okay. I guess I'll do New Jersey. I mean, they're not as hot as they started the season, but this was like, of all the years, they had like 3 years in a row where everyone was like, all right, New Jersey won the offseason. They're going. Then the 1 year that nobody says that they won the offseason, they jump up into the first place spot to start the year. I mean, what the heck? There's just such teases.
Like, they miss out on Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah.
They don't sign the big fish on the market, and yet they're still really good. So I do find that slightly ironic. And they've been getting, pretty good goaltending. I mean, Vanacek, who was in Washington, is now there in New Jersey. And I don't know what Washington was thinking getting rid of Vanacek, but he's been excellent for that team. And same thing with Mackenzie Weegar. He's kind of had a bounce back season in the goaltending department. And I think the other thing is a lot of people kind of underrated their defense. Their defense is fantastic. You got Damian Severson out there, Mr. Hamilton, Dougie Hamilton, who's kind of bounced around a little bit. You've also got Siegenthaler, who's kind of come into his own. So, I mean, they've got a very underrated decor. So it surprises me a little bit because I didn't expect to see the offense from this team because like those guys like Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, I hadn't really seen them take that next step, but they definitely took it this year.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people underestimating them comes to how many young players they had on their team last year. I mean, everyone on their team was young.
Well, they still do. A lot of those guys are still like, mid-20s or
but every
just a little bit
every year you go forward with a team like that, they're going to get stronger.
I mean, look at Boston. We all thought they were going to fall off, and now look at New Jersey. James, pick one more team, and then we'll move on.
The Winnipeg Jets. We thought this team was going to fall apart, man. I thought this team was going to fall apart. They looked like they were falling apart. Their locker room was a mess. That was the biggest problem. And I mean, winning is the perfect remedy. So they obviously Bonus's system works well with what the Jets were already doing. It relies heavily on the goaltender, which Hellebuyck obviously thrives in, and he has had an outstanding season too. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about the Jets.
Yeah, I think as much as we hated on Bones was probably the best coach that Winnipeg could have gotten. I mean, he kind of it feels like he brought the team together, and after stripping a player of their captaincy, it feels like this team is playing as a unit, and that's really impressive by Bones. I mean, he's showing why he's a good coach. They are still playing some boring hockey, and it's not super fun to watch, but they're winning.
Agreed.
Yeah, that is one thing you can't ignore about Rick Bowness is the fact that he has really good relationships with players.
Yep.
And we have heard for years about the toxic, locker room that Winnipeg apparently had. That's why Patrick Laine wanted out, because he didn't like what Wheeler and Scheifele were doing as the leaders of the team or whatever. And I mean, especially when he stripped the captaincy from Blake Wheeler, that right there tells you that there's something wrong. They're not going to obviously go into specifics, but that right there tells you something's wrong. And that might have been the best move that Rick Bowness did for this team, considering how well they've all played. So I agree with you 100%, James. That's a big surprise for me as well. So, and there's so many other teams we could talk about, but let's move on. All right, All-Stars. We need to talk about All-Stars for just a little bit, but since we're kind of getting into the Dallas Stars portion of today's episode, obviously, who else but Jason Robertson was named to his first NHL All-Star, and Mr. Pete DeBoer will be the coach of the Central Division team. And there's no surprise there. Who else from the Dallas Stars do you think will be voted to join Robertson in South Florida?
Jake Ottinger.
It better be Jake Ottinger.
It better be. I mean, I don't know that anyone else on our team could really get in other than Otter right now. Because that's not a knock on like all of our players, because all our players are great, and obviously I love them. I'm sitting here doing a podcast about them, but they don't have the same point totals as some of the other crazy players in the Central right now. And you can only vote this is like 2 other forward skaters, right?
I think so.
So I just don't see it happening. But for sure, I mean the only thing you can say, the only reason why Jake wouldn't get in is because Hellebuck also wasn't voted in for a goaltender. Yeah. They gave Saros in
I hate
Nashville.
You, James.
So
I hate you, James. I actually thought he was going to make it. Now he's not going to make it.
I think he still will make it, but we'll see.
Yeah, Saros getting that bid is kind of ridiculous in my opinion.
It was ridiculous. I mean, but you see, the problem is there's no one else on Nashville.
That's what
exactly.
I was
this season. That's exactly why he made it.
But we talked about him last year, is that I think he got kind of snubbed a little bit for being, I don't think he was the Vezina Trophy winner, but for being a Vezina finalist. This guy plays for a really, really sucky team. And he's the only reason why Nashville is even close, or I don't even know if they're in the playoffs right now. Are they above the playoffs? But they're close. And the only reason why they're close is because of that one player. And we could argue that one of the reasons why the Stars are so good right now is because of Jason Robertson. Now, we have a lot of other players that do just as much as he does, but that's the only player from Nashville that does anything. Like maybe Roman Josi, but Josi hasn't had as good a season as he did last year. And UC Saros has, if not been better this season than he was last year. So I think he fully deserves it. It just sucks that the Central Division has really good goaltending in it.
I think it's weird to put him in when there's obviously 2 better goalies than Ottinger and Hellebuck, but whatever.
So you're saying then Roman Josi though?
That's the problem. I mean, if everyone on the Predators suck, then they shouldn't be in the All-Star game. I mean, they suck. I mean, don't put any of them in.
Okay, so random thought, and I want to jump into this because I want to get this off. I want to get y'all's opinion on this. Do you think there has to be a representative from every single team?
No.
I think that that's the way that it shouldn't be. But that's the way they do it. And they think, oh, well, we have to have one player from every team so that every market will watch. Most people don't watch the All-Star game anyways because right now it stinks. Yeah. So just put the best players with the most name recognition into the game. And then that would solve everything. And then we don't have to have this conversation about, Jake Ottinger is like 3rd in save percentage right now. He's the best road goaltender right now. And he might not even be an All-Star. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Or let's just say we have top 2 All-Star lines, then the next 2 lines are second team All-Star lines, and then we just put that in a paper somewhere and say, hey, these are the All-Stars. They say, yay, and everyone takes a week-long break, and then we go back to playing hockey again, and we don't worry about the stupid game. How about that?
To a certain extent, I agree with you. I do want to mention one other player that I think deserves a lot of recognition, but he's not going to just because he plays for a Southern team and he's a perfect all-around defenseman. But Miro Heiskanen absolutely 100% deserves to be in the All-Star game, even just as much as Jake Ottinger, in my opinion. I just think that Jake Ottinger has so much name recognition right now because of the playoffs last season that he's more likely to get in. But I still put my hat in that once Ben hangs his skates up, that Miro Heiskanen will be the next captain of this team. I have no doubt in my mind. It's not Robertson. It's not Hintz. It's Miro Heiskanen's team. He's 100% the guy. So I just think that's the guy that deserves it too. Thoughts?
I mean, seems like it, but I would say there's a difference between that kind of skill and all-star skill. I'm going to be a little offense biased here, but I think if you're an all-star, I think you're flashy and you're scoring goals. That's the opposite of Miro Heiskanen. He's controlling, like you said. He's going to be a captain of the team. He's calm, confident, knows what he's doing. That doesn't scream all-star to me. It screams Hall of Fame, sure, but maybe not all-star.
Oh, I like that.
I'm saying
for sure.
it's a couple cups. Greatest defenseman known to man. I mean, you're in the Hall of Fame then.
Speaking of which, last All-Star thing, and we'll move on to some other stuff. But have y'all seen the All-Star jerseys? What they look like?
I saw the leak. I liked them.
It's kind of a different color scheme, and they're going for a different thing. I didn't really like I actually have one of the jerseys from a couple seasons ago, the 2020 jersey that was like mostly grayish and stuff like that, and it just had the logo of each team from whatever that player was from on the front. So I didn't like those, but I'm curious to see if this is actually what it's going to look like because I kind of liked it.
Yep, I'm down with having the shield on front. I like the shield. I think it's a really good logo. And I like the red versus blue. Easy peasy.
Easy enough. Okay, speaking of other players that probably should be at the All-Star game, but he won't be probably because there's so many good players on the Stars. Joe Pavelski, we need to mention him because since the beginning of the season, we haven't gotten to talk about it, but he resigns with the Dallas Stars as soon as he possibly can. He signs on January 1st, and Jim Nill is an absolute genius with this signing here. It's still a 1-year deal. It's still about the same amount of money that he's making this season, 5.5, but it's a $3.5 million base. So that's as much as he could give him at that point. But there's also a $2 million signing bonus if he plays 20 games. So if he plays 10 games, he gets $1 million. If he plays 20 games, he gets paid $2 million. Surely he will play 20 games next season if he continues this up.
Yep.
So what this does, it's a way that Nill is circumnavigating the cap. He's getting around the cap. He's going around the cap. And it's pushing it off to a point where the Stars will have more flexibility. So that $2 million won't even apply to next season. It'll apply to the season after, which is nice about those kind of bonuses like that, is that it does it. And that's when a lot of these big time contracts are going to be kind of going up, and the Stars have a lot of room. And that also allows the Stars to like sign the players that are coming up. Wyatt Johnston, Logan Stankov, and some of these other guys that are, I mean, Jason Robertson, I don't know. It'll be a couple years after that, but whatever. Anyways, it's just brilliant moves by Jim Nill, and it shows that he's just the best GM in the NHL, in my opinion, when it comes to stuff like this.
And the other thing on the signing bonus thing, the question that immediately came to my mind is why don't we just do this for every contract? Well, it's because you have to be a certain age to get incentive bonuses that high, which is really weird. I don't know why, but that's why you don't do it with everybody. But it works good in this situation, especially when the cap is supposed to go up substantially in one of the next 1 to 3 years.
So I'm just excited that he's coming back. He's going to continue being Joe Pavelski. As long as he can tip pucks, he could play for another 4 or 5 years. He's completely defying father time right now. It's ridiculous what he can do. So last thing, and then we'll get to our Who Cares segment for the evening, but we got to talk about Jake Ottinger. Yeah, I mean, I know we slightly mentioned him about him being possibly an all-star, but the way that he has been playing as of late is absolutely ridiculous. He's top 10 in just about every single category that you could look at when it comes to goaltending. I mean, shutouts, save percentage, road save percentage, goals saved above expected per 60, which is a advanced stat, which a lot of people look at as and say, well, these are the good goalies, these are not the good goalies, and it's a better way to look at that. I mean, even his save percentage, or his goals against average, which I don't really like looking at, is still fantastic. So he's just taken the NHL by storm. He's answered the question of whether he can handle being a number one goaltender over the course of the entire season, and he's ours. He's a Dallas Star. So can y'all just talk about his play just as of late? Because I even kind of called him out early December about how he was kind of slowing down. And ever since then, it seems like he's had one bad game, which was the Edmonton game, and that's about it.
Yeah, and this is a lot of repeat stuff from last night, so excuse us, but it needs to be repeated. The big thing with him is really the ego and the swagger that he has. I mean, and you could tell when we called him out in December, he was shaky. I mean, he didn't look as confident and as sure of himself as he does now. And now he's got it back, and the blocker saves are getting punched to the moon. The glove saves are creating wind tunnels in the rink. I mean, the dude's going nuts right now, and he's showing everybody that he's going nuts too. That's when you know Ottinger's at his best, is when he's putting on a show and making sure everybody knows that he's the best guy in the building.
I mean, and I know you don't like goals against average, Ryan, but I mean, over the past 12 games, he's let in 2 or less goals in 10 of them.
Yeah,
that's insane. And you're talking about the 2 that he didn't was the Edmonton game, where I think he let in like 5, and then the Kings game where he only let in 3. And honestly, we probably still should have won that game.
Yeah, definitely should have won that game.
So these are just the last 5 games, his save percentage of the last 5 games. Against the Islanders, 964. Against the Florida Panthers, 964. Oh, goodness, his worst one. The Los Angeles Kings, 914. And that's still amazing, especially now. San Jose, a 935. Against Minnesota, a 958. That's just the last 5 games. And I'm telling you, he had one bad game against the Edmonton Oilers. It was a hiccup. I think he had an 848 save percentage. But other than that, it has been absolutely fantastic from this guy. And I mean, he's back. He had that one little bit, and whatever was ailing him is gone now.
Yeah. And if he keeps on this pace and he leads the Stars to the first and the best team in the West, he's going to be on the Vezina ticket. He might not take it, but if he keeps playing this way all the way down the stretch, which is a long time, I mean, 42 games, that's crazy. But he's got a chance of getting on that Vezina card for sure.
I mean, there's a lot of good goalies this year. Ullmark has been really good for Boston. Hellebuck, we already mentioned. And I agree with you, Chris. I think Ottinger is up there. He's definitely top 5, and he's you mentioned it last night. He kind of dropped below the top 15 goalies in the NHL. I think he's right back up there in the top 5. I agree with you. And he's going to have a miracle run in order to get some sort of recognition for being the Vezina winner. And he's going to have to be better than Ullmark, who's been out of his mind. I think he's lost 1 game or 2 games, 1 overtime and 1 regulation, and that's it. But he's still been fantastic, and we would not be as good without him.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to take the Stars being the best in the West and him playing this good the entire time. So that's a big if, but it's possible at least. That's cool to see.
And honestly, he's played. I think he's played 5 more games than Ullmark has. Like, he's already started 5 more games than Ullmark, and he looks amazing. And I think the difference between how good Ullmark has been and how good Otter has been is that Otter is stealing games for this team, and Ullmark, he's doing great. Like, no one can say that he's not, but the team is scoring 5 goals a night. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good their goaltender is right now. Even with him being the best in the league, they score 5 a night.
And then moving past Vezina, I mean, we're halfway through the season. We could talk about playoffs. Which goalie do you want? Do you want Jake Ottinger or do you want Ullmark? I know my pick for sure.
If you're talking about just goaltenders, I think Otter is the pick every single time.
The clutch gene that he has, the chip on his shoulder that he plays with all the time, there's a reason his road save percentage is the best in the league. It's because he likes playing on the road. He likes being the most hated guy in the building. He wants all that pressure. He wants all the smoke. And he's got that dog in him. He just take care of business, shove it right in their face.
Here's the most exciting thing about this team and why I'm even more excited. Matt over here saying he can't wait to see playoff Otter again. I agree, but here's the thing. He could play that good, and the Stars probably won't even need it this as much this season compared to
Hopefully
last
not.
season.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
hoping.
that's what we're hoping. I would think that at this point, with the way they're playing and how he's doing, it and to go back to the whole Ullmark versus Ottinger thing in the playoffs, Ullmark has been playing on a really bad Buffalo team he did for a very long time. He doesn't have a lot of experience in the playoffs. And then I talked about this in one of my articles for Blackout Dallas a while ago now. Like you mentioned, Chris, he's been in so many high pressure situations. This guy at the Minnesota State Hockey Tournament, which that's basically like the Olympics for Minnesota up there. It's insane how into it Minnesotans get to this high school hockey tournament. As a freshman, he started and won the championship starting as a freshman. Can you imagine a 14-year-old in one of the biggest tournaments, arguably across the United States, especially hockey-wise, and he's starting as a freshman. He started at Boston College and was just as significant for Boston College in a lot of those games as well. And then, not to mention the World Junior Championships, he was the starting goalie for Team USA a couple of times as well. So it's not like before he got to the NHL that he had not been in those pressure situations before. He's had lots of experience in that, and Ullmark hasn't. So I am 100% behind you, Chris.
And he's been in those pressure situations, and he doesn't just have the experience. He's been in those and performed really well. James, do you remember what his stat line was on the Minnesota high school game? I think you were the one that had those stats.
I can't remember.
It was I can't remember exactly either. It's a high school hockey game. Give me a break. But I remember he won the game for him. Is what I remember. Is that he was spectacular. So he's not just playing in those games. He is the best guy on the ice in those games. And he did it again last season in Game 7 for us, that we almost stole the series because of Jake Ottinger. That's how good this guy is. He might steal a Stanley Cup for us at some point.
Keeping my fingers crossed for that. I think his name eventually will be on there, so we'll see. Okay, I think that's going to do it for all the hockey talk tonight. Let's get into our top 3 for our Who Cares segment for the evening.
Now we're getting into the important stuff.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
It only took us 50 minutes. All right, so this is the topic that we decided on, I think, last April. It went through a couple of status checks. We play tested it with the fam, and they all approved it. So we're gonna do top 3 crackers. Top 3 crackers. So whatever your favorite crackers are. We are going to start with James. He's on the left. James, number 3 cracker.
My number 3 cracker is a cracker I just recently found. It is Karis crackers. Do you know what these are?
No.
They're basically they're fancy crackers. Okay, so we had them at like our Christmas party thing, and there were only a couple of them, but they're like unsalted crackers essentially.
Wow, that sounds delicious. All right, Ryan.
That's why they're my number 3. Okay.
Okay, I don't even know what they're called, to be honest with you, but I know it's I know I didn't do my homework. I'm sorry. I know we had since
from April to do
this. I know. I'm sorry, but we have these all the time at family gatherings, guys. You're gonna have to help me out. Maybe you can tell me. But it's like rectangular in shape. It's a little longer, but it's rounded on the edges. That's Club
Original Cracker.
I mean, this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
no,
no.
It's like rounded on the edges.
Oh, you're talking about Townhouse ones.
Townhouse.
Yes, that's sure. We'll go with that. Townhouse. I don't know
butter
what it is about
crunch.
those crackers. I swear they put crack in them or something because they're absolutely fantastic. They're my number 3 cracker. Chris.
All right. My number 3 gets so much hate. It gets too much hate. I mean, let's just put it right out there. It's disguised as a healthy snack. Don't look at the back of the box. It's not a healthy snack. It's the Wheat Thin. The
I
Wheat
knew
Thin.
that was coming.
This
That's
is
pretty
like
good.
the potato chip of the grass world. It's pretty good. And these, unlike James's cracker, is hecka salty. So Wheat Thins, number 3. James, number 2.
My number 2 is Club Crackers. Chris has them over there.
Okay, I'm
you know,
eating little crackers.
he's munching them. They're pretty good crackers. Not the best crackers, but I think they're pretty solid for number 2. Let's be honest.
This is probably the worst I've ever done. All right, Ryan.
I don't know enough crackers.
number 2 cracker.
We have had since April to talk about this, James. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
but I've looked at crackers and they don't look good.
Okay.
They're all just crackers.
How dare you say that? That is not true.
That's blasphemy.
That's
James.
blasphemy.
That's terrible.
Jinx, you owe me a soda, Chris. Here you go. I got a second
You
one.
cracker.
You owe me a second one. Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna go and be boring. And my second one, I guess my number 2 cracker is just the original Cheez-It cracker. I love. I don't like the extra cheesy ones. Have y'all seen
agree.
whatever? I don't like
Yes.
them.
It's not
It's
good.
too much. It's too much. And like the original Cheez-It crackers are just amazing in and of themselves. They deserve to be put up on a pedestal with like little angel wings on the chair or whatever. They're amazing. And what's funnier is that they're not my number 1. So
That's a good choice. That missed my list just barely, but that would probably be an honorable mention for me. The powder on them are bad. I mean, it's like you just put flour on your Cheez-Its. Sure, it tastes kind of good, but no. And okay, pull up Zach's comment. That's blasphemy. The extra toasted, you just burn the Cheez-Its. You burned them. They're not extra toasty. You burnt those Cheez-Its. Burnt. All right. I got a lot of enemies with not liking the toasted Cheez-Its. So
no, I don't like them either.
I'm going to play to a crowd favorite here. Number 2 is Ritz crackers. I can't believe. I'm hoping this is number 1 for both of y'all, but the Ritz cracker, fantastic. It's a staple. It works with everything, every single thing. Ritz crackers, fantastic. All right.
And
James,
that is in
number
fact
first.
my number 1st.
Good choice.
It is Ritz crackers.
Good choice.
Especially, I mean, you could put just cream cheese on these crackers and it's good. Like
You can put nothing on the crackers.
yeah, I've sat there and accidentally eaten multiple packages of these things before.
All right,
So
right.
that
Number
is your
first
number 1?
cracker.
I guess it's me then. Okay, I don't know if this is kind of cheating since it's extra stuff on it, but the cheese Ritz crackers, the package,
Okay.
the full package
That's fair enough.
with the 6 little sandwich cracker thingies with the cheese in the center. I don't know what it is about it but I could eat those for days. And that is absolute my favorite one. The original Ritz cracker by itself is amazing. I agree with you 100%, but I like the other 2 that I mentioned a little bit more, but with the cheese with it and you have those 2 crackers together, I don't know what it is about it, but it's like heaven sings when you eat it.
I am not a fan of the powdery cheese myself, but I understand I'm in the minority in that, and I accept being wrong in that case. So I will actually say that, Ryan, you have quite a good list there.
Whoa, what is going on?
I know. I'm
I know.
agreeing
What
with
is
Ryan more than
happening?
James today.
This is going on a short here. It's going everywhere. I hope you understand that, Chris.
Chris
You made a
agreed
mistake.
with Ryan.
All right, everybody, let's just get ready to do the standing ovation because all right, there we go, perfect.
Oh my goodness. He's
So-
putting up the camera for those of you that are listening on the podcast side later.
So the number 1 best cracker is a cracker that not many people are aware of. But if you had the exact same childhood that I had, which lucky for us, y'all did, it is a cracker that y'all will know too well.
Please
Don't.
It is
Don't.
the Walmart brand of Goldfish. It is the Wales cracker.
Oh
Wales.
my
I knew
goodness.
Wales cracker.
They have so
Stand.
much salt you can't even
Stand.
taste the cheese.
Stand. Okay, the whale's cracker is fantastic. So, first of all, it's bigger than a goldfish and it's cooler than a goldfish. It's a whale.
whale.
That is awesome.
But a whale is just a big fish.
Nope. Whales are mammals, sir. That is blasphemy as well. They have to breathe air,
Oh.
they have blowholes, and they have hips. Did you know a whale had a hip? Yeah, it's great. Boom.
They-
Science right there.
Chris just pulled the science card on you.
Moving on. The whale, like James said, excessive amount of salt. That is great. That is great. You want excessive salt. If you're eating a cracker, you want to be dehydrated like the Sahara Desert. And that's exactly what this cracker does. It's fantastic. My third point, the cheese is just substantially better as well. They are cheesier than goldfish as well. They are objectively cheesier. You don't even need to get the flavor blasted whatever because the cheese is just flowing through them. Crispy texture, easier handfuls. And when you get a handful, you get the salt all over your hand. Just get to lick all the salt off your hand. Amazing. Whales. I mean, I think that's my best pick ever.
It's too
Oh
much
my
salt.
God,
Dude.
no.
It's way too much salt.
I cannot believe you put the off-brand whales over the Ritz cracker. I can't believe it.
I stand by that.
I thought it was pretty funny, honestly.
If you have not had whales, go to Walmart right now and get whales.
We don't have to do that, but they are cheap enough that I mean, might as well try.
Okay, so I buy all my groceries at HEB. I go to a separate store, a whole separate store across town to get my whales because I need them. I need my whales fix, and I do that. It is worth it.
Oh my goodness. I for some reason, when we discussed this Who Cares segment back in April, I just knew that you were going to mention this stupid whale.
The second you said childhood, I knew what you were saying.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Everyone go try
like
whales. Whales. Whales, if you want to sponsor us, please. I would love it. I would love to be sponsored by whales. Nothing would make me happier.
That's like saying those stupid fruit smiles are better than like the Welch's fruit snacks.
Fruit
like
smiles. Oh my! If we did fruit snacks top 3, fruit smiles would be number 1. You know what? Okay. I think they discontinued fruit smiles. I haven't seen.
I've seen them, Chris. I've seen them.
No, they're still
fine.
And they have
they're
tropical
not at my
ones now too.
They do have tropical ones.
Bro,
I just blew
mind blown. Tropical fruit smiles.
Oh, you know what? I actually thought about this. Zach saying no saltines. I did think about it. I did. And the only reason why I thought about it is because it's one of the few things that you can eat when you're like throwing your guts up when you have like the flu or something. So, and those crackers taste amazing when you are sick. So I almost
is the cracker of crackers. It is so mid. The cracker of crackers.
Oh man, we just talked about crackers for about 12 minutes. That's ridiculous. Okay.
I thought it'd be longer.
Ugh, I thought it was gonna be shorter. I thought it was gonna be like 3 or 4 minutes, and it took like double the amount of time. But okay, guys, is there anything else that we need to mention tonight before we close up shop?
We're playing in New York tomorrow. That's cool.
Yeah, we pulled the switcheroo with Minnesota.
Boop, boop, boop.
Minnesota's playing the Islanders.
Yep, that'll be a good game. I'll be excited to see how that goes, and for the rest of this season. Let's see how this goes. Real quick as well, by the way, hopefully Sagan is able to keep up what he did in the last game. We need even more because one goal is not going to be enough. It's not
Rope is not even on the trip, so he might be out for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Who knows? We'll see.
Yep, they're not telling us anything about Rope hints, which does not make me feel very good. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up. Go and check out StarcasticRemarks.com. That's our brand new website for all the latest Sarcastic Remarks junk and stuff.
Bookmark that thing too. It's fire.
Go and check out StarcasticRemarksShop.com for all the latest merch options. That's the best place that you can go to find merch and to best support us. We'd really appreciate it if you would do so. Somebody just recently did it and actually bought a pillow. That was pretty cool.
Sweet.
And
we're getting toothbrush cup holders, and soon we're gonna get we're gonna get that poo spray that you spray on the toilet to like cover the scent.
Poopery.
But when you poopery, we're gonna get some poopery, and it's gonna spray and it's gonna form the logo in the toilet bowl. Isn't that cool? We're working on the science right now.
Yeah, except it's going to be called Star Story. That's what we're going to call it. I don't know. The naming the naming going through all that stuff.
We're still going
the
with
best
the
we came
naming
up.
right now. We're gonna need some marketing there.
Please consider leaving us a 5-star review as well. We'd appreciate it, and that helps us grow. And anyways, along with Chris and James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side, and we hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening to this. We will see you guys tomorrow night when the Dallas Stars take on the New York Rangers. See you guys later.